Hey everyone, it's Chris from the Adventures with Chris. First and foremost, I want to thank all the recent new subscribers, Alan, Joshua, Shantyman, as well as Nina, and many others that have recently subscribed to my channel, like Major Dan as well, and all the support that I've been getting with my new video that's been released, the Battle of Resaca reenactment. I appreciate all the support, all the comments that have come out, as well as the comments coming through the Battle of Kennesaw Mountain, as well as the communication I've been having with my one of my other recent subscribers, Jenny. We're creating a great bond of history together with the 31st Alabama and many other regiments from the state of Alabama. So that's pretty cool that I'm building such a great connection with all you guys out there. Just make sure that you guys continue liking the videos, comment if you have any comments, as well as subscribing to my channel so you guys can follow me through the journey of the Civil War and get a little better understanding of the history of the Civil War. But today we're going to dive a little bit more into the Battle of Resaca, give you guys a little bit more information on it, as well as the Army of Tennessee and the Division of Mississippi, which was the two units that was engaged during this time of this conflict. And then as well, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of regiments that was actually involved during the conflict of the Battle of Resaca during the month of May. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to my channel as well. And I love you guys. And let's begin. So the Battle of Resaca was actually part of the Atlanta campaign of the American Civil War. The engagement was fought between the Military Division of the Mississippi, led by Major General William T. Sherman, on the side of the Union, and the Army of Tennessee, led by General Joseph E. Johnston, for the Confederates. Johnston had withdrawn his forces from Rocky Face Ridge to the hills around Resaca. On May 13th, the Union troops tested the Confederate lines to pinpoint their whereabouts. The next day, full-scale fighting occurred, and the Union troops were generally repulsed except on the Confederate right flank, where Sherman did not fully exploit his advantage. On May 15th, the battle continued with no advantage to either side until Sherman sent a force across the Osnera River at Lay's Ferry using newly delivered Cumberland pontoon bridges and advanced towards Johnston's railroad supply. Unable to halt the Union turning movement caused by Sherman's crossing of the river, Johnston was forced to retire, burning the railroad span in a nearby wagon bridge in the early morning of May 16th. After the Union repaired the bridges and transported more men over, they continued in the pursuit of the Confederates, leading to the Battle of Adairsville on May 17th. There were 6,100 combined casualties, 3,500 for the Union and 2,600 for the Confederacy. So that gives you guys a little bit more. If you guys are not familiar, Rocky Face Ridge is actually up in the Dalton-Whitfield County area. And I do have a video where I was walking around the Dalton area and was exploring and filming the different locations of Dalton and its Civil War ties. So if you guys haven't checked that video out, make sure you guys check that video out as well. Post any comments if you guys have any questions. Now, who was the Army of Tennessee? Well, the Army of Tennessee was the principal Confederate army operating between the Appalachian Mountains and the Mississippi River during the American Civil War. It was formed in the late 1862 and fought until the end of the war in 1865, participating in most of the significant battles in the Western Theater. The Army was formed on November 20th, 1862, when General Braxton Bragg renamed the former Army of Mississippi and was divided into two corps commanded by Leonidas Polk and William J. Hardee. A third corps was formed from the troops from the Department of East Tennessee and commanded by Elmer Kirby Smith. It was disbanded in early December after one of its two divisions was sent to Mississippi. The remaining division was assigned to Hardee's corps, while Kirby Smith returned to East Tennessee. The Army's Cavalier was consolidated into a single command under Joseph Wheeler. The Army's first major engagement under its new name took place against the Army of Cumberland on December 31st along the Stones River. Now, the commanders of the Army of Tennessee was Braxton Bragg, Joseph E. Johnston, John Bell Hood, and Alexander P. Stewart. So, that is the Army of Tennessee for the Confederates. Now, this army was actually involved with the Atlanta campaign as well, and that would be the Battle of Resaca, as well as many other battles leading up to the burning of Atlanta and the march to the sea that Sherman performed towards the end of the Civil War. Now, the military division of Mississippi. This division was originally created by President Abraham Lincoln to reorganize the Union troops in the Western Theater after the serious Union defeat at the Battle of Chickamauga. Its first commander, with its headquarters in the field, was Major General Grant. The division was organized on October 16, 1863, to consist of the Department of Ohio, the Tennessee, and the Cumberland, which embraced all of the Union armies stationed between the Mississippi River and the Appalachian Mountains. On January 31st, 1865, the Department of North Carolina was added. On February 10th, 1865, the Department of Kentucky was added. On April 19th, 1865, portions of the Department of North Carolina that were not occupied by William T. Sherman at the time were transferred to the military division of the James. The division was reconstructed on June 27, 1865, to include the Department of Ohio, the Missouri, and Arkansas. The Department of Plateau was added on March 26, 1866. The military division of the Mississippi was discontinued on August 6, 1866. The commanders in charge of the Division of Mississippi was Major General Grant, Major General William T. Sherman. So those were the two generals that was in charge of the division of the military division of Mississippi. I'm sorry about that. Now, the regiments that was actually some of the regiments that was actually involved in the Battle of Resaca there was quite a few, but I was able to find you guys some information on a couple of them. The first one that was actually involved during the Battle of Resaca was the 5th Georgia Cavalry, which was a regiment that was formed on January 20th, 1863, when combining the 1st Battalion Georgia Cavalry and the 2nd Battalion. However, they were not officially mustered in the service until May 17th, 1863, and were afterwards sent to South Carolina and parts of Georgia to defend against Union incursions into those two states. At the end of August 1863, the entire regiment was sent to South Carolina and assigned to the overall command of General P.G.T. Beauregard. They fought at Johns Island, Charleston, Green Pond, and many other battles within the area. The 5th Cavalry remained in South Carolina until orders sent them back to Savannah on May 13th, 1864. Along the way, those orders changed, and the 5th Georgia Cavalry rode to join General Joseph Wheeler in the Army of Tennessee. Once they had joined Wheeler's forces, the troops traveled to Atlanta. They participated in the battle for that city and the Greater Atlanta Campaign, where they lost many men. They saw combat in several major actions, including Kennesaw Mountain, Buckhead, Big Shanty, Chattahoochee River, and Decatur. Their last document skirmish was the Battle of Morrisville Station on April 13th through the 14th, 1865. The regiment surrendered in Hillsborough, North Carolina on April 26, 1865. Next regiment would be the Ferguson Light Artillery. It was formed in April of 1862. On March 29, 1864, it was armed with 2 6-pound smoothbores and 2 12-pound Napoleons. The unit was captured by the 119th Illinois Infantry at Nashville, Tennessee on December 16, 1864. Ferguson's artillery was organized in April of 1862 as a 4-gun battery of 2 light 12-pounders and 2 6-pounders. Until May of 1863, Ferguson was assigned to the Military District of South Carolina, Department of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Ferguson was reassigned to Walker's Division, Hardee's Corps, Army of Tennessee. Major operations in 1863 saw Ferguson in the Battle of Chickamauga, the Siege of Chattanooga, Ringgold, and the assault on Missionary Ridge, where its guns were captured by the Federals. In 1864, the unit saw actions in February at Tunnel Hill, Georgia, followed by the Atlanta Campaign in May, including the battles of Resaca, New Hope Church, Kennesaw Mountain, Peachtree Creek, Atlanta, and Jonesboro. In November of 1864, Ferguson was in the engagement at Spring Hill in Nashville. In 1865, the men were in the campaign of the Carolinas, including the Battle of Bentonville and the surrender at Benton's House, Durham Station, with fewer than 50 members left in the battalion or battery. Washington Artillery. In November of 1862, the 5th Company was transferred to the Confederate Army of Tennessee and remained with the Army of the Heartland for most of the war. After Shiloh, the company was involved in the Corinth Campaign and was engaged at Motley and Farmington. During General Braxton Bragg's Kentucky campaign in late summer, early fall of 1862, the 5th Company fought at Mumfordville and Perryville. The company was engaged at the Battle of Murfreesboro, in the Siege of Jackson, at the Battle of Chickamauga, and the fighting around Chattanooga. After failing to turn back the Federal charge at Missionary Ridge, Captain Solcombe and his cannoneers tried to rally the panicked Confederate infantry and led them in a counterattack. Although they were unsuccessful, the 5th Company of the Washington Artillery was also engaged in the Atlanta campaigns, serving in the fighting at Resaca, Dallas, and Atlanta. At General John Bell Hood's disaster, Franklin and Nashville campaign, the 5th Company provided artillery support in some of the war's bloodiest fighting. Mississippi 37th Infantry. The Mississippi 37th Infantry Regiment was organized during the spring of 1862, and it was captured when Vicksburg fell during the siege. It lost 7 it lost 17 men, 56 wounded, and 7 missing. Exchanged, the regiment contained 26 officers, 442 men in December 1863. It then served under Generals McCall, Canty, and Featherston in the Army of Tennessee. The 37th fought in the Atlanta Campaign, endured Hood's winter operation in Tennessee, and ended the war in North Carolina. Next, you have the Alabama 29th Infantry. The 29th Alabama Infantry Regiment was organized at Pensacola in February 1862 by the addition of 2 companies to the 4th Alabama Battalion, a body of 8 companies which had been organized the autumn before at Montgomery. The regiment joined the Army of Tennessee at Resaca with over 1,000 men in time to inherit the Atlanta-Dalton campaign. It was brigaded with the 1st, 17th, and 26th Alabama and 37th Mississippi regiments, commanded at different intervals by Colonel Murphy of Montgomery, General O'Neill of Lauderdale, and General Shelley of Talladega. The 29th was engaged at the Battle of Resaca with a loss of about 100,000 men and 1,100 men that was engaged. At New Hope Church, the loss was very heavy, and at Peachtree Creek, the regiment was cut to pieces. On July 28th, near Atlanta, half of the regiment was killed and wounded in the fierce and protected assault on the enemy's line. The 29th then moved into Tennessee with General John Bell Hood and lost very heavily in casualties at Franklin and largely in casualties and prisoners at Nashville. A remnant of it moved into the Carolinas, where it was engaged at Kingston, Bentonville, and with considerable loss. It was consolidated with the 1st and 17th regiments early in 1865, and fewer than 90 men surrendered at Durham Station, Orange County, North Carolina, on the 26th of April 1865. Alabama 49th Infantry. This infantry was originally mustered into service as the 31st Alabama Infantry, but its designation was changed in the spring of 1863, and is also called the 52nd Alabama Regiment. The 49th Alabama Infantry Regiment was organized at Nashville in January 1862, and it took part in the Battle of Shiloh, where it lost 113,000 men. A few weeks later, the unit was reorganized as the 49th Regiment on May 8, 1862, and was sent to Vicksburg with Breckinridge's brigade, and was engaged in the defense of the place when it was bombarded in 1862. On August 6, the regiment fought at Baton Rouge with a loss of 40,000. Joining the army of General Earl Van Dorn, the 49th was engaged in the assault on Corinth and suffered very severely there. Consolidated with the 27th Infantry and the 6th Battalion from October 6, 1862 through January 1863, the regiment was ordered to Port Hudson to pass the winter. The regiment was brigaded with the 27th and 35th Alabama and 2 Mississippi regiments under General Abraham Buford, who was soon succeeded by General William Bell. The 49th shared the dangers and hardships of the 42 days siege of Port Hudson, losing 55 men, with the remainder captured. July 8, 1863, Exchanged 3 months later, the 49th was reorganized at Colville and attached to the brigade of General Thomas M. Scott of Louisiana, with the 12th Louisiana and 27th, 31st, or 35th, 55th, and 57th Alabama regiments. Next, you have the Alabama 30th Infantry. The 30th Alabama Infantry was organized at Talladega on April 16, 1862. The regiment skirmished at Tazewell, Cumberland Gap, and moved into Kentucky, but it was not engaged there. On the return to Tennessee, the 30th was brigaded with the 20th, 23rd, 31st, 46th Alabama regiments under General Edward D. Tracy of Madison, and in December it was sent to Vicksburg with the other portions of Stevenson's division. And in the spring, the regiment fought with few casualties at Port Gibson, but it saw heavy casualties at Champion's Hill, where 229 men were put out of action, half the regiment strength. In addition, four new signs were killed, and the colors were penetrated by 63 balls and 16 shell fragments. At Vicksburg, the 30th suffered severely in casualties during the siege and was captured with the fortress. Patrolled the regiment, recruited at Dimples, and proceeded with other portions of the brigade, now under General Edmund W. Pettison of Dallas, to the main army near Chattanooga. The regiment was engaged without loss at Missionary Ridge, then winter at Dalton. At Rocky Face Ridge, the 30th suffered severely but lightly at Resaca. In the Atlanta campaign, the regiment was engaged in several battles. It lost heavily at New Hope, Atlanta, Jonesboro. It proceeded in Tennessee and was engaged at Nashville, losing heavily again, and was part of the rear guard on the movement to Duck River. Transferred to North Carolina, the regiment fought at Kingston and the Bentonville with high casualties. The 30th surrendered with the Army of Greensboro, North Carolina. About 100 men present for duty. Toward the close of the war, the 30th was consolidated with the 20th Infantry and redesignated the 20th Infantry Regiment at the Smithfield, April 9th, 1865. Mississippi 31st Infantry. The Mississippi 31st Infantry was organized in May 1862, visiting the 6th Mississippi Infantry Battalion as its nucleus. It was part of the garrison at Vicksburg, then fought at Baton Rouge and Jackson. Later it continued the fight under General Featherston and the Army of Tennessee. The 31st was active throughout the Atlanta campaign, endured Hood's winter operations in Tennessee, and saw action in North Carolina. It lost 10 killed and 37 wounded at Baton Rouge, and of the 215 engaged at Peachtree Creek, 76% were disabled. In December 1864, there were 86 men present for duty, and only a handful surrendered in April 1865. Alright, you guys, so that is a little bit more of the Battle of Resaca, the two divisions that was involved there, as well as some of the regiments that was actually fighting on that battlefield. Now, that was my first reenactment. I love going there. I love communicating with the people that do the reenactments. They're great people. I've been communicating with a lot of them. I'm building up and trying to see when new reenactments are coming available. So if you guys know any new reenactments that are coming up very soon, and would like me to go out there and film it, let me know. Place it in the comment section below. Now I do have a special thing to tell you guys. So this upcoming weekend, for Memorial Day weekend, I'll be going out to Vicksburg National Battlefield to do some filming out there, and also give you guys a little bit more insight of the 31st Alabama that's out there, as well as the 31st, as well as many other regiments that are out there. I hope that you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and I love you guys and talk to you guys again soon.